12 years together, AFM Records and Eden's Curse decided it was the perfect time to release our best of album, Testament. We've called it this because we've got two definite periods within the band. We have the Michael Eden era and the Nicola Miech era, almost like the Old Testament and the New Testament, so that was the inspiration behind the title and the artwork. The compilation, which we put together with AFM, is very much like a live set list. It starts with what we would probably open a set with and finish with, so it gives a new listener to Eden's Curse an opportunity to hear some of the best songs that we've got, and also what they would experience live. And of course, for the avid fan, it's a great collection, and particularly the CD presentation is really cool. Plus we have the bonus disc, which includes all of the bonus tracks for the first time on one CD, and of course there's a brand new 2018 song called Forever. Symphony of Sin opens the CD. It's one of our favourite tracks of all time. When we moved from the Trinity period to Symphony of Sin, we loved the more progressive side of a track like Jerusalem Sleeps, and we wondered how much we could push that further. So one element that I wanted to explore was bringing in an actual orchestra to have an orchestral piece, and the thought process behind that was to create this bombastic song that could open a show and open the album at the same time, and I think we really achieved that with the song.
As far as guitars, I remember the cool staccato guitar arpeggio phrase that returns in the main solo and that is played in harmony with the keyboards. It's just lots of fun to play live.
It's got some unbelievable vocals from Nicola, really you know, out the gate as a singer on the first song that people will have heard from him on the album, and I think it's one of his greatest vocal performances to date.
It's the opening track of the album and the most challenging song on the album, so we figured this song needs very, very powerful vocals, so we just pushed in everything we could. The most interesting part of it is we always do it live, and most of the times is the opening track for the concert, so it's one of my favorite tracks on the album, and I really like to perform it live.
Yeah, Masquerade Ball. First song after the Reign of Terror intro on the Second Coming album. Great Randy Rhoads guitar riff. You know, if you listen to Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train, you get the idea.
I think there's no doubt about it as one of the band's most loved songs between us and the fan base, and opens many a live set because it's got that great intro to it, so it's a really, really great song for us.
Starts off with a fast Yngwie Malmsteen-like guitar run. You have to be quite warmed up to play this because it's very often the opening song in our live set list.
Black Widow is the first song on the Best Of CD, which features a guest vocalist, and they come no bigger than Andy Derris of Halloween. I grew up, and it's no secret, a massive fan of Pink Cream 69, so for me, getting Andy involved was a bit of a fanboy moment. I
always love a faster double kick drum metal song, you know, one of our heavier tracks, and just great fun to play live.
Couldn't believe it when I heard that voice back. I thought, oh my God, it's Andy Derris of Halloween, and that was a real goosebump moment for me to hear him singing on something we've written as a band. It was amazing but surreal.
Our live fans are singing the main guitar melody, which you can hear on our live album.
The Great Pretender is one of my absolute favourite tracks of Cardinal, and always a joy to do live. It features this really heavy, groovy main riff that kicks you in the groin starting from the beginning of the song, and then it moves on to an epic chorus, which is really fun to do the backing vocals live.
It's a great rock song, has lots of dynamics, and I love the build up into the last chorus.
One of my favorite Eden's Curse songs of all time, just a great rocker. I love the guitar riff.
It's turned out to be a real favourite of ours live, and I think the fans have really taken to it as well.
Great Pretender is one of my favorite tracks from the Cardinal album. It features very powerful vocals, a great riff, awesome vocal lines.
I also find it immensely rewarding to interlude with Thorsten, and this song's solo section has a great unisono part at the end.
Fantastic lead solo work between me and Chris on keyboards. Always a blast to play live.
Flyway was probably the song that convinced AFM to sign us. They just absolutely adored the song. It was me having my head in the kind of latter day Ed Guy sound with the drop D guitar riff at the start and a very, very melodic chorus. I remember playing it to a friend and he told me, dude, you can't put that riff next to that chorus, and I said, I beg to differ.
One of the most requested and loved Eden's Curse songs among fans. Just an amazing chorus, very, very Eden's Curse typical. You know, got all the Eden's Curse ingredients for a great melodic metal tune.
Great song, we still have it in the live set. It's probably that and Judgment Day, one of the two songs from the debut album that we still play live.
Played slightly heavier live, you know, with chunking a lot on the low drop D tuning. Lots of melodic minor Yngwie type soloing again, just great fun.
No Holy Man obviously is the single which features James LaBrie from Dream Theater, a pivotal moment in the band's career involving James on the Trinity album. It really paid dividends for us.
The thing that attracted me to these guys was their melody sense, their lyrics, and of course the music. It was amazing. It was like classic rock but a contemporary feel to it.
Again, another fan favorite with a great sing-along part at the beginning when we're doing this live.
It did very well for us on YouTube. It had a really pretty cool tongue-in-cheek animated video.
Paul's lyrics really intrigued me, dealing with thought-provoking subject matter.
The song itself introduced us to a whole load of Dream Theater fans. It's a huge song. It's still a song to this day that I hear back and think, I can't believe I wrote that.
Interesting side note here on my guitar solo, it's just the second half of an even longer solo I did for it. When recording this in my studio, by mistake I started the solo about 8 bars too early. But it sounded great and it fit quite well, so we kept it.
I'm sure if you check out any of their albums, any of their material, you're gonna become a fan. I mean, I was hooked within the first listen.
Sell Your Soul from the Cardinal album, featuring Christian on keyboards. This was to introduce him to the public, you know, so I put all this guitar and keyboard solo battle in there, you know, to show his great technical skills.
It's really fun to do the shredding stuff against Thorsten, and this song has a great solo section which let me go really full shred, but I think I kept it artistically coherent nonetheless.
The song has so many elements to it. It's a constant tempo, but it shifts between double time sections and half time, like the middle section, which is very, kind of almost has a blues rock feel to it.
And also we choose it to be our first single from Cardinal because it's just very memorable chorus.
And we also did a music video for it. And actually the music video session was the first time I ever met the band members. But we clicked instantly as musicians and personality-wise, and we've had so many great moments on the road since, so I'm really happy this all came together.
It was different, but we felt it was a great song. It had a positive, uplifting vibe to it, brilliant vocals, great hook line.
Very proud of the guitar riff, which is a little melody in itself, and it's just another blast to play live.
It was one that we just enjoyed writing, performing. You know, we always have to have the courage of our convictions, and I think it's a song that a lot of people say to us when they hear it live. Wow, it really comes across a lot better live.
Sell Your Soul is kind of a good song for live. It sounds awesome. It has a little bit of mellow vocals in the start, and As it progresses, it gets more harder and harder.
It's a song that we love, and that's why it's there on the best of.
Jerusalem Sleeps from Trinity. I think this is our first step into writing more progressive metal sounding material with lots of different parts, you know, tempo changes, extended solo sections, which of course I always love.
We are big fans of groups like Dream Theater and Queensryche, of course, and this was us trying you know, a kind of Eastern slant to it with there's actually a real sitar played on there by Thorsten.
I used a real sitar guitar for the intro to give it that oriental sounding vibe. We tried with keyboards first, but it just didn't sound convincing, so I got that sitar guitar.
It's got a really great middle section that speeds up and kind of a lot of double bass and real balls out shredding.
As you know, I'm not only a comrade in arms working with you guys on so many records, but I'm also a fan. I've always been very impressed with your guys' songwriting. You've always had a few songs that always stood out. Jerusalem Sleeps, which is just hooky as hell, and it's such a nice crossover with a little bit of prog in there, almost AOR-ish, and just sweet, great melodies and really memorable lyrics.
Great song to play, great fun, and a riff to die for.
Unconditional, again from Cardinal, featuring Kristine on guest vocals. I had the basic idea for the song, been playing around with its chord progression for a while, and I turned it into this whole song by recording drums, bass, and keyboards and everything, you know, on the demo. And then later on, Paul and Pete came up with some great lyrics and vocal melodies for it.
I think this is a great power ballad. It has great vocals from Nick and Liv. I think they work really well together. And I think it's a very classy song, just a really great commercial song, but with heavy parts to it.
It's almost pop-like tune, you know, but really a favorite of mine because it's got a great groove. Also extended guitar solo, which is very melodic as well.
I'd been in dialogue with AFM Records about a potential female vocalist to participate on a track on Cardinal, and Liv's name came up, and AFM agreed to actually approach Liv on our behalf. Fast forward 2 days later, I'm in a bar in Glasgow, and I couldn't believe it when she walked into the bar. I kind of watched her walk past, and I'm thinking, no, that can't be. And a few moments later, a gentleman with a Leaves' Eyes shirt came in and actually said hello to me. And it was a former drum tech with Firewind that I knew back in the day from touring with those guys. And I said, why are you here? And he mentioned that he was on the road with Leaves' Eyes. So it was Liv that I'd seen, and I told him the incredible story of just meeting the label 2 days ago. So I had a chance to sit down and meet her. She was a lovely lady, and we really hit it off personally straight away.
As Paul asked me to join in on Unconditional, he had added the lyrics, and I just read the first lines. You mean the world to me, I got to let you know. I just thought that's just perfect. It's the message that I always wanted to convey to the person I love the most on this planet. And now, since I know the story behind the lyrics, it's a very special honor for me to join in on this song.
Liv just said one thing, send me the song, and if I like it, I'll certainly do it. And that's where it went. She did a fabulous job on it. It's a song quite close to me, written about someone that I care very much about. And I think a lot of people out there love it for that as well. Unconditional
gave me the opportunity to use my voice in different manners within the same track. I love the ending of the song because it's a you know, moving within the strong high soprano area, which is something that I really enjoy doing, and this is the ending, the grand finale of the song, and I really love it. We even had the chance to perform it live in Stuttgart Germany in February 2017. The audience loved it.
Kristine is an awesome vocalist. We had the chance to meet her live and we actually performed together, so it was a blessing to have her on the stage. The crowd loved it.
Eden's Curse, I'm ready for Unconditional Love wherever you are, so thank you for having me, and I hope there will be more of Unconditional Love.
When it all falls down around you, just remember this way.
Judgment Day was the song that started it all off for Eden's Curse. It was the first song that I wrote for essentially what was a studio project way back in 2006. Mike and I had no idea back then that it was going to develop into a full-blown band and we would be out touring. That was obviously certainly in the vision and the dream that we had, but the initial goal for us was to create an album, and that song was the first kind of song idea I let him hear, and from there on we started to think seriously, okay, we need a band around this, we need a killer guitar player, we need a drummer, etc., and potentially a keyboard player, and that's where our good buddy Karsten Schulz come into play, helping us find some of the key members like GK and Ferdy.
I was involved in Thorsten Koehner's solo album, an album of an outfit called Code of Perfection, which was recorded when Thorsten left a band called Demon Drive. Involved in Demon Drive also was my dear friend Mr. Jochen Meyer. Jochen called me up and said, would you mind helping Thorsten finding a decent band? He's a brilliant guitar player and he should be out there and should be one of the big ones, and should basically get more exposure than he got with Demon Drive. Sometime after that, Jochen called me up because he saw that Paul had on melodicrock.com something like international recording project looking for a guitar player, music in the vein of TNT, Patriot 69 and Evidence 1. So Jochen called me up and said, hey, if you as the singer of Evidence 1 recommend a guitar player, he surely get the gig. And this is how it all came about. I contacted Paul and said, here I got this guitar player, he's really an outstanding shredder.
Great song for me to play live because it's got a long guitar solo section towards the end, which I usually improvise. A lot of the guitar solos I try to play live, like on the album, but here I have the freedom to just improvise and just let the fingers fly, play whatever comes to mind. Because on the original studio recording, I just basically improvised as well.
It's definitely a very important song for us in our career. It's still a big fan favourite. It's a song that we love playing and people seem to really love it. The thing that always gets me about it was just the insane shredding from Thorsten. We knew that we had chosen a really good guitar player, but I think, to be fair, when Mike and I heard what he was producing on the record, it was like, holy crap, we've got a really, really good guitar player. And I think he's proved that and got better with each album.
Jericho from Cardinal, one of the most badass songs. The riffs are very hard. TK is kind of bringing it very good.
As a prog guy and admirer of the Tony Martin and Dio eras of Black Sabbath, Jericho has to be my absolutely favorite track of Cardinal.
It's kind of a challenging song. Yeah, it has a huge energy when we start the song. Everybody's banging their heads.
It's got a real epic feel to it. Like Black Sabbath songs like Heaven and Hell or Headless Cross or Rainbow Stargazer, it has that real kind of atmosphere and it paints the scene from history.
Very much in the vein of Jerusalem Sleeps, very progressive sounding. Probably the most complex song we've written so far. Extended guitar, keyboard solo parts, lots of different riffs and time changes.
The middle section is great in Jericho. It has a real musical dynamic to it. Everyone gets to let loose. Great bass and drums, really great interplay between Chris and Thorsten.
Quite a challenge to play this live and memorize all the parts, but it's all about practice. And in the end, it's also great fun to play live.
I love the symphonic and bombastic feel that this track has, and I was able to go full symphonic with this track, which is absolutely up my alley. And it has also lots of little quirky progressive melodies going on in the background. And I even managed to fit in a Hammond solo at the end, which is a bow down to the rock giants of the 70s and 80s.
Jericho is definitely developing into one of our fans' favourites. It's a monster epic tune. It's a very intense song to play live. It's one of those ones that you have to be absolutely on the money, but we definitely do love it. Some brilliant drumming and beats in there from John.
It has great groove in the verses, really catchy chorus, and really heavy elements to it as well, so just overall a totally epic song.
I'd always heard about the walls of Jericho but never really read into the story, and that's something that I definitely took on and started to craft the lyrics around it.
What can I say? Another Eden's Curse classic. Probably the most requested Eden's Curse song ever. I'm proud to say I had the basic idea for it, and I recorded the first demo for it. I've been playing around with an intro, chord picking thing for a while, and Paul and Pete later on added great melodies and lyrics to it, and we did some arrangement changes as well. But the main guitar solo is one of my most favorite ones to play as well. It's just very memorable.
It was a very cathartic song to write because it's post the breakup with Michael Eden, and pretty much how we felt at the time. We were faced with a battle of kind of, do we carry on, because it was a very kind of stressful time. So for us to gather our thoughts as a band, we pulled rank basically together as a team. We have to carry on. We've got so much more to do, and we were convinced that we would find the right person, and we did eventually in Nicola.
Unbreakable is one of the best songs that Eden's Curse ever made. The fans love the song. I can say that Paul really thought out these vocals. Every note is on its place.
And it's just been a monstrous song for us.
Unbreakable is not a typical ballad. It starts with a very mellow start, and after that it just rushes in, and you got very fast-paced rhythm, and just as the song progresses, the crowd is getting always like more worked up, and at the end you have the high vocals that just top everything, all the energy in the song. That is actually why the crowd loves it so much. I mean, it kind of feels as a ballad, but it's actually a power heavy metal song.
Man, one of the best and most haunting guitar riffs.
I think it's iconic when you hear that guitar riff. It's quite a fabulous guitar riff, and maybe one that you'll ever only write once in your career.
Great vocals from Nicola, very expressive with lots of feel, and just another Eden's Curse classic.
First song that people heard of our new vocalist Nicola, and he contributed to that song greatly. It was a song that I had written and a verse for. Thorsten changed up the riff on it. Nick took what I had given him in a guide vocal and just produced absolute wonders from it. So it was a real team effort on writing that song.
Evil and Divine is the song that I've actually sang as a demo, by which Eden's Curse decided to have me as a vocalist.
I think still our most requested video, and an amazing chorus melody with a little gothic touch to it.
Paul gave me the song and told me like, you can do whatever you want with the song, but the song has to kick ass. So sang some of the parts. Paul told me to sound like this and that, but I've changed few things, and when I sent back the song to Paul, he told me like, wow dude, this is so amazing. You know what, actually we're gonna leave the song as you've edited it, so it's just gonna stay like that. And guess what? This is going to be the first single on the album.
We love playing it, and it still goes down every time TK starts that riff. The place just goes nuts. So it's one of our absolute favourite Eden's Curse songs.
This song got me into Eden's Curse, and this song opened the door for me to be the part of the band.
Angels and Demons from the Second Coming. What can I say? Another big classic, probably the song I've played live the most.
Probably our breakthrough song. It was the song that really lifted us up in the public eye. It got picked up by Bruce Dickinson when he was running his rock show on BBC. It got picked up by Classic Rock magazine on their bands to watch out for way back in the day. Even went on a CD, so it introduced us to a wider audience.
Usually one of the last songs in our live set, because it really gets the people going. Great riff, great chorus, everything that makes a great Eden's Curse song.
It would be folly of me not to mention the contribution of Pamela Moore's sister Mary from Operation Mindcrime, the Queensryche. We are huge fans of the band and that album, and when we talked about finding a female voice for it, she was one of the first names that came to mind.
I think it was back in like 2007 and 2008. I was touring with Queensryche at the time, and we had about a month off. And I don't know how I put it out there, but it ended up that Paul got a hold of me and told me about his song and asked if I'd be interested in singing it. And I said, sure, let me hear it. And so I did, and the rest is history, I guess.
I think we had about 250,000 plays on MySpace back in the day of the song, and due to that success we tried to do a video. It was our first video at the time, but we had such a small budget. Because of our global spread, it was nigh on impossible for us to all get together. So we shot in our own hometowns and pieced it together, just basically to have a presence on YouTube for that song.
It was interesting because all through this whole process I really wasn't ever around any of the band members. And this one, they had asked each of the band members, wherever they were in whatever country, to put together their part, record their part. So they gave us some specific instructions, and so I did mine and sent it off, and I wasn't sure how it was going to work, but whoever they had put it all together did a really good job.
And who knows, maybe one day we still hold out the hope of performing it live with Pam on stage somewhere.
In fact, that would be something that would be a lot of fun to do. It's been 10 years since we've recorded it, I think, and it would be very special to be able to do that on stage with them, you know.
Forever is a song which lyrically is based on Dan Brown's novel Angels and Demons. A lot of people think Angels and Demons, our own song, is based on that, and it's not. Hopefully by now you'll have seen the video and got some of the references to it. It was a book that I read back in maybe 2005 and actually wrote the song for David Reedman's solo album. And at the time I think Frontiers Records were wanting him to go in a more AOR direction. So I always kept this song on back burner. I thought it would see the light of day somewhere, and so we looked at this one again to re-record it, and Thorsten kind of took the arrangement and messed around with it and came up with something that's more in keeping of where we are today as a band.
And this time I went both symphonic and sci-fi, with Blade Runner type sequences going on in the main riff and chorus. It's a really solid song and features some of the best keyboard work I have done up to date.
Great keyboard tracks by Chris on this.
I think he also shows the potential of the current lineup, and I can't wait to start recording our next full-length album with these guys.
Forever is a great song. It's a fantastic chorus, really heavy sections to it, and it's really catchy. I think it's a really great addition to the Best Of album.
I'm not the savior, I beg you this time, oh, take away